So let us begin with the chapter that is biomolecules. See, these biomolecules which are there, living things are actually made up of a non-living substance. Okay, these atoms and molecules, okay, these are non-living things and living things survive on that. So those molecules with which the living beings are made up of, they are called as biomolecules. Okay. So biomolecules are nothing but these are actually complex lifeless substance, chemical substance, which form the basis of the life. And you are going to study different kind of biomolecules. Those are nucleic acid, carbohydrate, lipids, proteins. Okay, these are the different biomolecules which you'll be studying in detail in this chapter. So let us start with the first one, that is carbohydrates. Okay. So what are carbohydrates? Main course, the food what you eat, no, for more amount of energy. Those are carbohydrates. Actually, the original name came from thinking that carbon is there and then water molecules are there. So hydrates of carbon are called as carbohydrate. But then that was not the actual condition. Okay, later they have modified that definition. So the modified definition, what they say is carbohydrates are, these are optically active polyhydroxyaldehydes or ketones. Okay, these are optically active polyhydroxyaldehydes or ketone. That means there is a large number of hydroxyl group, OH group is present, and then aldehyde group is there, or there is ketone group present. Okay, so OH is compulsory, that is there, and then along with that either you have an aldehyde group present or there is a ketone group present. And you know what is optically active compounds are? If they are able to rotate the plane polarized light, then they are called as optically active compound. So those are carbohydrates. Okay, so either they have in them, or they are saying, or some compounds, no, after hydrolysis they will give you this. After hydrolysis they will have hydroxy group, aldehyde and ketone group. Okay, so after hydrolysis if they produce such unit, then those are also called as carbohydrates. Okay, so when we eat carbohydrate, we don't think that so many things will be present in that. Okay, so carbohydrates are these are optically active polyhydroxyaldehydes or ketones. Okay, or those compound which will produce such unit. That means after hydrolysis they will give you hydroxy unit, aldehyde or ketone unit, then they will be called as carbohydrates. Okay, now let us go for the classification. So we have classification of carbohydrate based on the hydrolysis, means after you hydrolyze them, when water reacts with them, after that whatever you get. Okay, based on that these are the classification. So first one is monosaccharide. As the name says here, monosaccharide, saccharide stands for sugar unit. Okay, so your mono means one. So those carbohydrate which will have only one unit, so that means you cannot hydrolyze them further, means only one unit is there. Okay, they are not polymers, only one single unit, so this you cannot hydrolyze further. Okay, then such type of saccharides are called as monosaccharides. Such type of carbohydrates will be also called as monosaccharides. You cannot hydrolyze them further. So these are simple ones. Okay, simple compounds which cannot be hydrolyzed. Like example, we have glucose, fructose and galactose. Generally it is written like this: CnH2n and then On. Like glucose formula you are familiar. Glucose is C6H12 and then O6. Okay, so you can see here for 6 number of carbon there is double number of water molecules present, no? Okay, so the general formula will come out like this. Count the carbon. If 6 carbons are there, there is 12 hydrogen and then 6 water molecule. Okay, so I said initially they called them as carbohydrate, thinking that because there is carbon, to that particular carbon there is water molecules attached. Okay, seeing the molecular formula they understood like that, so they were called as carbohydrates. So this is the molecular formula. Whatever number of carbon you have, double that number of hydrogen we are having and equal number of oxygen is present in those compounds. Okay, so hydrolysis, on hydrolysis if they don't give you any unit, that means only one unit is present, then they are monosaccharides. Okay, then next we have oligosaccharides, again based on the hydrolysis unit. So if they give you 2 to 10 monosaccharides on hydrolysis, okay, any carbohydrate which will give you 2 to 10 monosaccharide units on hydrolysis, then they will be called as oligosaccharides. Okay, so these are further again classified into like 2 units are there, no? So 2 units, if they are giving us, then they are called as disaccharides. Then if it is 3, then they are called as trisaccharides. If it is 4, it is called as tetrasaccharides, and then so on, like that. Okay, till 10 we are having, depending on how many monosaccharide units they will be providing you after the hydrolysis is been done. Okay, those are oligosaccharides. Okay, 2 to 10 monosaccharide units, if a carbohydrate gives you on hydrolysis, they are called as oligosaccharides. They are further classified, I said. So now we'll start with first one, disaccharides. Disaccharide means any carbohydrate which will give you 2 monosaccharide units. Means 2 units are combined together like this. Okay, one imagine this is one sugar unit and this is another sugar unit which are joined together. So when you add water to this will break down. Okay, there will be hydrolysis. So after hydrolysis, it will give you 1 unit of one sugar and another unit of another sugar. Okay, so 2 units will be formed. So these are combined together now. They are joined together with a bond. So when you hydrolyze, they break down. They give you 2 different units on hydrolysis. Okay, like example here, sucrose we have taken. Okay, sucrose, you can see here they are joined by this oxygen linkage, glycosidic linkage. So if you add water on this side, this will break down. No, this will give you one H here and one OH will go this side. Okay, so then you will get a separate glucose unit and a separate fructose unit will be obtained. So sucrose on hydrolysis gives you glucose and fructose. So they are called as disaccharides. Few more examples are there. See here, sucrose we just now discussed. They are giving us glucose and fructose unit. Then there is maltose, malt. Okay, that gives you 2 glucose unit on hydrolysis. Then lactose gives you 1 glucose unit and 1 galactose unit on hydrolysis. Okay. Now moving on with the last part on hydrolysis, that is polysaccharide. See, polysaccharide will be, poly means many. That means if you hydrolyze these saccharides or carbohydrate, you will be able to get many number of monosaccharide unit. Okay, so many monosaccharide unit will be obtained on hydrolyzing the polysaccharide. Large number of monosaccharide units are obtained on hydrolysis are called as polysaccharide. Example is starch. See, starch is a polymer, no? Polymer where you are a biology student, you will be knowing that how a starch is being formed. They do photosynthesis where carbon dioxide and water is utilized in the presence of chlorophyll and sunlight, and then initially they give you this compound, that is glucose, and then many glucose unit combine together to give you a polymer, and that is called as starch. Okay, so many units of glucose will be combined together, which leads to starch formation. Cellulose is also an example. Insulin, glycogen. Okay, glycogen is present in animals. Starch is present in the plants. Okay, so these are the polymer unit. Okay, and if you hydrolyze them, see here I've taken the example of starch. You can see this red ones. Okay, these are like small unit which are combined together. Okay, many units have combined together. So if you hydrolyze them, they will give you large number of monosaccharide unit. Yes, correct. Lactose is also called as milk sugar. Lactose is found in the milk. Okay, so it is also called as milk sugar. And this polysaccharide, students, these are not sweet in taste. Okay, they are not sweet in taste, so they are also called as non-sugars. This starch and everything we have, no, like see maida and then this wheat flour. If you taste them, they don't have any sweetness in them. Okay, because these are polymers. These are polymers of many sugar units, so they are tasteless. They are also called as non-sugars. Okay. Now, next classification is on the basis of action of Tolwyn's reagent and Fehling solution. This we have done yesterday. In the class, I have finished with Tolwyn's reagent and Fehling solution. I hope you remember for what it is being done. This test is to find out whether the group present is aldehyde group or a ketonic group. Okay, and if Tolwyn's reagent is added and if they react, that means that aldehyde is getting reduced to carboxylic acid. If they don't react, that means there is no conversion happening. Okay, so based on that, based on the action of Tolwyn's reagent, we are having 2 types of sugar. One is called as reducing sugar and the other one is called as non-reducing sugar. Okay, reducing and non-reducing. Now, what are these reducing sugar? Reducing sugars are those carbohydrate which can reduce this Fehling solution. Okay, Fehling solution will get reduced, and if Fehling solution get reduced, Fehling solution is copper sulfate. Okay, I will just take copper ion, Cu2 plus ion, with will get changed into Cu plus ion. Okay, so there is a reduction happening. So they get reduced. Okay, reducing the Fehling solution. Then here Tolwin's reagent, it's made up of silver. Okay, silver complex it is, ammonical silver nitrate solution, where silver ions are getting reduced to silver metal. Ag plus to Ag conversion is taking place. Okay, so if they are able to reduce this solution, okay, any aldehyde or ketonic group, if they are free, they will be able to reduce. Okay, if they are not free, then they won't be able to reduce them. Okay, such sugars are called as reducing sugar, which can reduce this solution. And when they will be able to reduce them, if they are free, I will show you that structure also. Okay, how they are free and when they are not free. For example, it is maltose and lactose which are reducing sugar. See, lactose structure I have taken here. This is lactose, which is made up of 1 unit of galactose unit, and there is 1 unit of glucose unit. This side you can see alpha carbon. This carbon is there. No, students, it is attached with the functional group. So here they are free. Okay, they are available. So alpha carbon, because in the alpha position there is a main functional group which is present. Okay, so here if you make them to react with this Fehling solution and Tolwin's reagent, they will give you the answer for it, because these alpha position carbons functional group will be free here. Okay, so those are reducing ones when they are free. Okay, and non-reducing sugars are, they will not be able to reduce the Fehling solution and Tolwin's reagent, because their aldehydic or ketonic groups are bounded with each other. Like for example, in the case of sucrose, they are binded. Now see, sucrose structure is this, where this is the alpha position carbon, and here also you are having alpha position carbon, which has that main functional group. That aldehydic group and ketonic group is there. No, that is present over here. So what has happened here is they are binded with each other. So they are not available. When they are not available, this Fehling solution cannot be getting reduced. So sucrose, due to their alpha positions are binded, they don't answer that test. Okay, I'll repeat once again. See here, in the case of lactose, what has happened here is, in the case of lactose, I said these alpha position carbon functional groups are available. It is freely available. So they will be able to reduce. Okay, these will be able to reduce the Fehling solution and Tolwin's reagent. In the case of sucrose, what happens is, these alpha position carbons are there, no, where the functional groups are present, they are binded with each other through this glycosidic bond linkage. You can see oxygen linkage, they are binded with each other, so they are not available. So when they are not available, they can't reduce. Okay, further when I am doing that structure, you will be able to understand how they are free and when they are not available. Okay, for time being, now you remember this. Okay, now see the test. This I've shown you yesterday also, but again you look into it. Copper ions, you can see copper sulfate. No, Fehling solution is made up of copper sulfate. And then one more solution is alkaline potassium and sodium tartarate. So where copper ions are getting reduced, so from Cu2 plus ion, they are changing into Cu plus ion. So reduction is happening where copper oxides are formed. So this copper oxide is reddish brown in color. And in the case of Tolwin's reagent, where you are having that colorless solution of silver complex, after the reduction is over, silver metals are formed, Ag metals are formed, and that Ag metal will get deposited at the side of the test tube, forming a silver mirror. So it's also called a silver mirror test. Okay, this is how the reduction takes place. Even here, Benedict solution is also copper ions. Okay, Cu2 plus ion changing into Cu plus ion. Next classification is on the basis of taste. Okay, taste wise they are classified. So one is called as sugars. Sugars are sweet in taste, as the name says. Sugars are sweet in taste. And all the monosaccharides and polysaccharides are sugars. Okay, and they are crystalline solid, soluble in water. Sweet in taste, so these are mainly made up of oligosaccharides and polysaccharides, because large number of carbon atom, they don't get hydrolyzed that easily. When you put any substance in your mouth, especially this carbohydrate, only partial digestion takes place. No, complete digestion happens in your stomach and then finally in the intestine. So that is the reason you are not able to get that taste. Only the starting ones will break down easily, so they give you that taste. Okay, and this example are sucrose, glucose, and then fructose. Then for non-sugars, carbohydrate, which are not sweet in taste, okay, they are mainly the polysaccharides, okay, which are not sweet in taste. An example for that is starch. We are having glycogens. Yes, correct. Only aldehydes will respond to Benedict's reagent. Even Fehling solution and this Tolwin's reagent, no? These are mild oxidizing agents, so most of the time aldehydes are the one which will be responding for this. Okay, now based on classification of monosaccharide, we are going for classification of monosaccharide. First classification we are having is based on the functional group present. Okay, based on the functional group present, it is being classified. So if a monosaccharide contains aldehyde as a functional group, okay, if that monosaccharide contains aldehyde as a functional group, then it is called as aldose. Okay, they will be called as aldose. Example is glucose and then galactose. These are the monosaccharide which contains aldehyde as a functional group. Okay, aldose will be the name for them. And if a monosaccharide contains ketone as the functional group, if they contain ketone as a functional group, then they are called as ketose. Example you can see here, fructose is the example. See, glucose and fructose both are having actually same molecular formula. The only difference in them is the functional group. Okay, this has aldehyde as a functional group and this one has ketone as the functional group. Both are isomers. Okay, only the change is the functional group in them. So based on the functional group, this is the classification. If they contain aldehyde, they are aldose. If they contain ketone, they are called as ketose. Okay, now based on the number of carbon atom which is present in this monosaccharide unit, okay, based on the number of carbon atom, if they are present, see how is the name given. If they have minimum three carbon in them, then they are called as triose. Okay, they are called as triose. And in that, if aldehyde is a functional group, it would be called as aldotriose. And if ketone is a functional group, it will be called as ketose triose. Okay, three carbon atom compounds are called as triose. Okay, that carbohydrates are called as triose. And in that, if aldehyde is a functional group, it is called as aldotriose. And in that, if ketone is a functional group, it is called as ketose triose. And if they contain four carbon atom, then it is called as tetrose. Okay, four is called as tetrose. Again, if aldehyde is the functional group, it will be aldotetrose. Then ketone means ketotetrose. 5 pentose. If it is aldehyde, aldopentose. If it is ketone, then it is ketopentose. 6 again, hexose. Aldehyde means aldohexose and ketone means ketohexose. Okay, these are based on the number of carbon atom which is present in the molecules. Now we'll go for our main topic, discussion in detail about monosaccharides. Okay, in the honey and most of the sweet fruits are there, no, in which the monosaccharide which is present, okay, that is glucose. So glucose is basically, it's a aldehyde functional group having 6 carbon in them. So they are also called as aldohexose. Okay, and one more name for them is dextrose. Why? Because dextrorotatory means what, students? If they are able to rotate the plane polarized light towards the right inside. So they are also called as dextrose because this particular glucose can rotate the plane polarized light towards the right inside. Okay, so dextrose is one more name for it. And you will get this as a monomer in many of the compound, that is starch, glycogen, cellulose. Okay, all of these will have monomer as glucose, means they will be combined together like this. Okay, glucose is the main unit. They can be in the form of branch, they can be in the form of straight chain, however they are present. And when you hydrolyze, then you will be able to get that glucose from these particular compounds. Okay, now preparation, let's see Only two preparations you are having. One is from sugar cane, that is cane sugar. Sucrose is present in them, no? So sucrose, you have seen that it is made up of two units. One is glucose and the other one is fructose. So you have to hydrolyze this sucrose. You hydrolyze them in the presence of acid, then it will give you equal amount of glucose and fructose. Okay, sucrose formula you see here, sucrose is C12H22 and O11. This is sucrose, where one water molecule is less actually. Okay, one water molecule is less in this because they are combined together. See, this C6H12O6 plus again C6H12 and then O6. They undergo condensation. Okay, so when they undergo condensation, there will be loss of one water molecule. Total how many should be there actually? 22, and then this should be correct. No, this should be 12. So if one water molecule goes out, then after condensation, they give you this sucrose. Okay, this is how they are formed. So now you are doing ulta of that. When you hydrolyze that in the presence of acid, that glycosidic linkage will break down. Okay, and then water molecule will get added up over there, giving you 1 unit of glucose and 1 unit of fructose. One more preparation you see, commercially how they are prepared. From the starch they are preparing, because the starch will give you large unit. No, see, sucrose, if you are taking, you have to take large amount of sucrose to give you glucose and fructose. But you know, starch is a polymer, large number of units are present in this. Okay, so if you are able to hydrolyze starch, then you can get the glucose in a large quantity. So commercially, glucose is obtained by hydrolysis of starch by boiling it with again sulfuric acid under high pressure. They will help them to break down. Okay, break down into small units. Okay, so your starch formula you see, C6H10 and then O5 N molecule. Again, these are formed by condensation. You can make out water molecules have been lost here. So C6H10 and then O5 N, large number of units are there, which on hydrolysis in the presence of acid will give you glucose. Okay, water molecules will get added up here. H2O will come. Okay, so when H2O comes, you will get large number of glucose units, C6H12 and then O6. Okay, so we have done two preparation here. One I told you, I'll repeat this once again. One is from sucrose. Sucrose is a disaccharide made up of two units of glucose and one is fructose. So that is formed by condensation of one of water molecule. So if you hydrolyze this, okay, on hydrolysis with the acid, it will give you this glucose and fructose unit back. Okay, then next one I told you, the second preparation we are having is from starch. Starch they are industrially preparing because you can get large number of glucose unit by hydrolyzing this. Okay, boiling at a higher temperature and pressure in the presence of sulfuric acid. So starch formula or cellulose formula is this way, C6H10O5 N number. Okay, it's a polymer, so N number is written here. So when you hydrolyze with large number of water molecules, you will get C6H12 and O6. Yes, first order, that first reaction which I have taken, yeah, correct, very good. It comes under chemical kinetics also, pseudo-order reaction. If you take concentration of this water in excess, you can study the concentration of sucrose change. Yes, it's a pseudo-order reaction. So concentration change will directly depend on sucrose if you take one of the water in excess. Yes. Now we'll go for next, students. This is the important thing what we have. Okay, structure of glucose and how they have reduced the structure of glucose you are going to study. What are the evidence and what are the reactions they have done that finally they came up with this molecular formula was like they could find out the molecular formula C6H12 and O6, but at the end how these carbons are arranged, how that hydrogen and oxygens are arranged, and what is the functional group which is present in the beginning, what are the functional group which are present in between and in the terminal side. All that is being found out through a different reactions. Okay, so that is what I'm going to concentrate here. To know that few reactions you should be thorough with. Okay, this is the molecular formula of glucose. So we are having molecular formula of glucose as C6H12 and then O6. Okay, So first what they have found is how many carbon and how these carbon are arranged. Okay, so what is done is this particular glucose compound is heated with hydrogen iodide. Okay, it's a very good reducing agent. So hydrogen iodide they have taken and heated it for a long time. When this compound was heated for a long time, they could get a 6 carbon atom chain. Okay, 6 carbon atom linked chain, and it is linked together. It's not like different. Okay, continuous carbon chain they have got. N-hexane itself is a straight chain aliphatic compound, no? So they were able to get N-hexane, which indicated that in this glucose, okay, generally we write it in this way, CHO we will write, because you have to show it in the form of equation, no? Okay, so that is the reason we are just to show that elimination and everything we are writing in this way. Okay, so aldehyde group is there, and then CHO 4 times, and then here you are having CH2 and then OH. This is how we write it, okay, just to make the reactions easier and to study it. So when it is made to react with hydrogen iodide, they could get a straight chain carbon, 6 carbon atom long chain. Okay, that is hexane, which indicated that the carbon atom are continuously linked with one another. From here, what they understand is there is no breakage, there is no branch. Okay, that carbon atoms are continuously present in this straight chain fashion. Okay, all the 6 carbon atoms are continuously arranged. So this one indication they got. Okay, already they had the molecular formula. With some reactions they could find out what is the molecular formula of it. Okay, now they wanted to find out which functional group, where it is present, and how these are arranged. So first one I said, they were able to understand this carbon atoms are straight chain, there is no branching. Okay, straight chain compound they are. So that they got to know by making it to react with hydrogen iodide at high temperature. Prolonged heating is done, to which we got this. Okay, next one is they wanted to find out which group is present. So to find out that, they had made it to react with hydroxylamine, and one more is with hydrogen cyanide. I hope you remember this reaction which I have done in aldehyde and ketones chapter. We have finished hydroxylamine and hydrogen cyanide reaction, addition reactions we have done there. Okay, so suppose if it is hydroxylamine is NH2, I will write it on this side, NH2 and then OH. Okay, hydroxyl group is there and then amine group is present. So if these two react, what will happen? There will be elimination of water molecule. One water molecule will get eliminated out. If there is aldehyde group, you know it is this way, no? C double bond O and then H. Okay, so if I am taking hydrogen here, this hydrogen and water molecule will get removed out, and then N and then OH. That N will come and link to the double bond. So you get this compound. Okay, and those are called as oxime. These are called as oxime. Okay, and this can happen only if there is carbonyl group present. Okay, so one indication is that the compound functional group present is a carbonyl group. They could understand by making it to react with hydroxylamine. If there was no carbonyl group, you will not get oxime as a product being formed. Okay, one more thing to understand, that they have made it to react with hydrogen cyanide. Okay, and you have studied when carbonyl group gets added up with the hydrogen cyanide HCN, it undergoes addition, no, nucleophilic addition reaction, where this oxygen gets a negative charge, carbon gets a positive charge, and then one H plus will go here, and this Cn minus, which is a nucleophile, will come and attack this positive carbon. Okay, this H will go here, giving you this cyanohydrin. Okay, so cyanohydrins are formed when a carbonyl group is made to react with hydrogen cyanide. Okay, so these are the indication which indicates that which group is present. There is a presence of carbonyl group in them. Okay, one reaction they have done with hydroxylamine, one more reaction just to confirm that, like how we do confirmatory test here. So like that only, to confirm, again a few more reactions were done. Okay, hydrogen cyanide they made it to react, where they got cyanohydrin, indicating that the functional group present over here is a carbonyl group. But in that carbonyl, it can be aldehyde or it can be ketone. No, so that has to be further verified. Okay, so they understood from this, at least they got to know carbonyl group is present. Further, they had to confirm in that carbonyl which group it is, whether it is aldehydic group or whether it is ketonic group. This has to be confirmed now. Okay, afterwards this has to be confirmed. So now this what they have done is, now glucose is been oxidized with the mild oxidizing agent. Okay, they were oxidized, made to react with the mild oxidizing agent like bromine water. You can even do with Tolwin's reagent and Fehling solution also. Here in your book they have given bromine water, but then any mild oxidizing agent you can take. And you know, when you take any mild oxidizing agent, who will react here? If aldehyde group is present, only they will show you the reaction, and ketonic group will not show you any reaction for these mild oxidizing agent. Okay, so that was their idea, to find out which group is present now, whether aldehyde group is present or ketonic group is present. So when this particular compound was made to react with bromine water, they got to know that this aldehyde, like that functional group which is there, no, that got oxidized. So if that functional group has got oxidized, that means that group present over here is only aldehyde group. So they have further done it with the Fehling solution also, and Tolwin's reagent also, which was further confirmed, okay, which indicated that ketone will not react and give you this reaction. Only aldehyde can react because they are more reactive than compared to ketone. Only they will get oxidized. And this compound which is formed after oxidation, okay, where aldehyde group gets oxidized, giving you carboxylic acid group, remaining things are as it is. Okay, this is called as gluconic acid. From glucose, the acid which is derived, they are called as gluconic acid. So gluconic acid was formed. So confirm that now aldehyde group is present. Okay, what and all we have like confirmed now? One is carbon and carbon. All the carbon atoms over here are linked with a straight chain. Okay. Second thing, they wanted to find out which group, functional group is present. To find out that carbonyl group, okay, they got to know it's a carbonyl group when they made it to react with hydroxylamine and hydrogen cyanide. Second thing, they wanted to understand from this carbonyl group which exactly is the one, aldehyde or the ketones. For that, mild oxidizing agents are taken and you get this compound. Okay. Now next one, further one, remaining are there. No, now see, aldehyde group has been confirmed. Okay, and it has to be, aldehyde should be present in the terminal side. It cannot be in between. See, in between means it will be like this, no? First only they have got to know that carbon is in the straight chain. If they are in between, it will be a ketone group. Ketone group will not answer. So one more thing is confirmed that aldehyde group is present in the terminal side. Means starting one is the aldehyde group. Okay. That is also found out through this reaction. We can understand from that, because aldehyde, if they are present in between, they will turn into ketone. That side and this side carbon. Carbon atom means it will come as a ketone group, but it is not a ketone group, because if they have answered, it has to be an aldehyde group. So aldehyde group is present in the terminal side. Okay, one indication from this. One more thing they got to know, it's a terminal aldehydic group. So remaining, they had to find out that remaining functional group. For that, this reaction is done. Okay, where glucose is made to react with acetic anhydride. Okay, so when acetic anhydride is made to react with this glucose, you know, acetic anhydride is CH3, C double bond O, and then C double bond O, CH3. This is acetic anhydride. Okay, so acetic anhydride will get hydrolyzed if there is OH group present. Only then you will get a different compound of glucose pentacetate was formed. And this will be formed only if there is OH group present. And how do they break down? I will show you for one molecule, because remaining are OH only. Similar way they have reacted. Okay. So your oxygen with negative charge I am taking. So you will get carbon with this positive charge. Okay. This negative charge oxygen will take hydrogen and go out. Okay. This will take this hydrogen and go out in the form of acetic acid, CH3, COOH. Remaining is this positive carbon which can go and attack this. Okay. So you will get here, see the compound which is being formed. That's how, no, it is the structure which is written. You are having C, H, then O is there, then C double bond O, this group. Okay, if you want, I'll change the color. See this group, this positive link with this oxygen. Okay, oxygen will be negatively charged. So then you will have C double bond O, CH3. That you write like 4 times it is there. And one more OH group was present. So they altogether found 5 glucose pentacetate. So if you are getting this many, okay, that means there should be 5 OH group present, no? So then they were able to deduce this structure. Okay, 5 OH group is attached to that carbon-carbon group. Okay, you cannot have 2 OH group present in the same carbon, or then they will not be stable. These were stable also. Stable means that all the OH group which is present to the remaining carbon okay, is individually attached. Separately they are attached, okay, because this was already confirmed. This we have already confirmed, aldehyde group is present. Next, they wanted to confirm that remaining 5 carbon, how they are attached with and what group they are attached with. So this acetic anhydride reaction was done, which eliminates acetic acid molecule, and that acetate part comes and attacks here, giving you glucose pentaacetate. Okay, this was formed, indicating that there is now 5 OH group present. Okay. Now next one is to find out the last group which is there. No, still they weren't that sure, okay, that last. So what they have done is oxidation was done using a strong oxidizing agent. Okay, nitric acid is taken as a strong oxidizing agent. So glucose and one more they have taken, that is gluconic acid also they have taken for oxidation. So they oxidize them here. Center here, this side you see, this is the glucose part. Okay, this is the glucose one. Glucose on oxidation, what they have got is sacharic acid. This is sacharic acid which has 2 carboxylic acid on the terminal side. This side and that side you are having COH group and COH group, okay, on both the side, where aldehyde group also got oxidized. Strong oxidizing agent will oxidize both, okay, aldehyde group as well as the alcohol group. So both got oxidized and you got sacharic acid. Now this side you see gluconic acid also they took. So gluconic acid, when it was taken and further oxidized in the presence of oxidizing agent, this functional group, alcohol functional group, also got oxidized to this carboxylic acid. Okay. So from this, it's an indication that when you take a strong oxidizing agent, the last terminal group which is present is the alcohol group itself. Okay, if you have got carboxylic acid here, the last one is the alcohol group. Okay, these are the reactions which is done. So final structure which is came out is in this way. Okay, there are so many other things also. There are many isomers which are possible. So eliminating all that structure and with final deduction, Fischer was the person who could give this structure. So final structure is given out, and this is for D-glucose. Okay, that is dextrorotatory glucose. He has given it in this way. So dextrorotatory glucose, where you are having terminal aldehyde group and then terminal alcohol group. This alcohol group you got to know from the oxidation reaction they have found. The terminal alcohol group is present. And the remaining is this way. Okay, this is how it has been arranged. So I said total 16 isomers are possible. In that, the possible structure Fischer has given after reducing everything and then finally coming with glucose structure. Open chain structure is found out to be in this way. Yes, listen now. A brief revision of this structure elucidation of glucose, how they reduce the glucose structure. Okay. First one is they made it to react with hydrogen iodide. HI was the reaction which was done, and when hydrogen iodide, a strong reducing agent, was taken, they got N-hexane as a product. Okay, and N-hexane is a straight chain compound where all the carbon atoms are linked one after the other. So there is no branching. One thing they have got to know, that carbon atoms are straight chain and all the carbon atoms are linked one after the other. Okay, then second reaction to find out the functional group present. Okay, so if the carbonyl functional group is there, then you will be able to see they will react with hydroxylamine and hydrogen cyanide. So they made it to react with hydroxylamine and hydrogen cyanide. During the reaction with hydroxylamine, oxime was found, and when hydrogen cyanide reacts, they got to know cyanohydrin is the product. Okay, which indicates that functional group present is a carbonyl group itself. But in that carbonyl also, you have 2 carbonyl group. One is the aldehyde one, and then there is another one, that is ketone. So which one is among them, that had to be confirmed. So to confirm that, they made it to react with a mild oxidizing agent. Okay, if it is reacting with a mild oxidizing agent, then it will be a ketone. If it doesn't react, then they will think that it would be it is aldehyde. Okay, if it reacts with mild oxidizing agent, it is aldehyde. If it doesn't react, then it has to be a ketone group. Okay, so they made it to react with this bromine water, and then finally they got this gluconic acid as a product, where oxidation of this aldehyde has taken place to carboxylic acid. So confirm that the group present over here is the aldehyde group itself. Okay. Next is to find out the remaining group, aldehyde itself, and then again they will come at the terminal side. They won't come in between. Okay. Aldehyde can never come in the between, because if they come in between, then it is a ketonic group. So aldehyde is always in the terminal side. So that is also confirmed. Next is to find out which group is there with the remaining 5 carbon atom. Okay. For that, this reaction is done with acidic anhydride. Acidic anhydride reacts with these compound, okay, where removal of acetic acid takes place, and then acetate part will go and react here. This reaction is also called as acetylation reaction, okay, where you are introducing the acetyl group. And acetyl group can be introduced when you have this, easily it can be introduced here on this side, okay, if there is OH group present. So after like making it to react, they got glucose pentacetate, which indicates that all the group which is present to the carbon, attached to the carbon is the OH group itself. Okay. Then last one, oxidation is done to find out, okay, if OH is there, the last one they wanted to find that this is a primary alcoholic group only. Okay. For that, oxidation was done. When gluconic acid reacts with this oxidizing agent, you will get sacharic acid. Similarly, they wanted to oxidize this also and check whether you will get sacharic acid. Okay, it's like checking out. If this has a primary alcoholic group. No, gluconic acid has primary alcoholic group, which on oxidation gave you sacharic acid. Like 2 carboxylic acid on this side. Okay, one side they already had, but terminal oxidation of alcohol group has taken place. Here, glucose. Similarly, glucose, they wanted to check that the terminal group is the primary alcoholic group. Okay. CH2 group attached with OH group. So they oxidized them and they again got sacharic acid itself. Okay. Which confirms that the terminal, one side there is alcoholic group and the other side there is aldehyde group. Then a final structure, open stain structure of glucose is given out. Okay. So aldehyde is here and then you are having CH2OH on this side. Remaining things you need to arrange this in detail. I will be doing in next class. Okay, this is how the structure is given by Fischer, where you have H and then OH on this side, OH and H here, and then these two hydrogen on towards the left side and OH on the right side. Only this side you have to change. Okay, this will be D-glucose. If you change that, then it will be the other one. The class I will